with Reid, he was brought to the club to turn it around at a time. You've spoken about how poor the performances, mission accomplished. He helped turn the club around, but certainly job not done. And there's many people that have presented this argument to me that if you're in that dressing room at that stage, and Reid, that was the captain, and then obviously Stephen came in and took over. But if you're in that dressing room, to see that individual treated that way could have a psychological...
Treated like what?
Well, released from his deal early.
No.
Not just released from his deal early.
Reid Marnie was still playing with us till the end of the season, yeah. The discussion with Reid Marnie was months earlier around the future and what his future might look like beyond. We couldn't afford Reid Marnie in 2027, right? To sign Reid Marnie again to extend his current contract in 2027 would have meant really difficult to retain other players that we've got in our club coming off contract at that time. That was virtually a salary cap discussion between me and his manager early last year about what the future would look like.
But then
at the time we knew Perth and we knew P&G and those sort of things with some really good deals. We did the same with Josh Curran. We told Josh Curran, if you want to jump early and get an option for 27, while the good money's out there, go and do it. And Josh Curran took the opportunity to go and sign with Perth. They're all things that happen. This is coincidental. You're trying to marry up, as the media has done, and I get the whole picture, that somehow the Galvin thing was the instigator to pushing out those other two players. It wasn't. It wasn't.
Look,
Galvin made the team on his merits.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And I acknowledge that these are separate.
They are very separate.
Very separate cases.
Separate, yeah.
But on the Reid aspect,
but out of that, Reid Marnie got himself a good long-term deal at the Cowboys.
Of course he did.
The only thing was they lost Reece Robson, so they were looking for someone a year earlier.
Absolutely,
that's right.
But I know what it's like in dressing rooms, and I know the whole we couldn't afford to keep him. And that carries weight, but then you go, well, why is it him?
Yeah.
Because he's been so important. And a lot of the fans look at it and go, well, we'd have been happy to see, 10, 15, 20 other players go before Reid goes because we love him and we love what he brings. And despite his discipline issues, that's something that we love about Reid.
Well, obviously at the time the coaches saw it differently, didn't they? Because he was starting to come from the bench. He was not being picked in the starting lineup at different things. He was used less than 80 minutes at different times during the game. That's the coaching decision. That's a selection decision.
Was that explained to you? Because, a lot of Bulldogs fans say, well, Reid Marnie, we would have been happy to see Reid play 80.
I could see what the coaches were saying, yeah.